All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody sliding in. I appreciate everybody coming through. And if you would like to talk about what I have on the board, go ahead and come on through. Let me just go ahead and put this clock up on the board real quick. All right, y'all. That clock is for every guest. Every single guest I have up here is going to get 15 minutes, unless, of course, you violate any TikTok rules or whatever. Use any slurs, or I'm just personally done with talking to you if it's getting nowhere. But everyone gets 15 minutes. Everyone gets 15 minutes to go ahead and come on up and talk about what I have on the board. If you disagree with something I have on the board, go ahead and come on up and let me know why you disagree. All right, user 9805. Y'all gotta get screen names, bro. All right, but 9805 WTU, bro. But for anybody who's coming on through, anybody who's sliding through, if you disagree with something I have on the board, please go ahead and come on up and let's have a discussion. I would like to talk to you if you disagree with what I have on the board. Let's have a debate. Let's have a discussion. Let's exchange ideas. Let me know what you think. All right, Papa. I don't talk to comments, so Papa, go ahead, come on up. Go ahead, come on up, Papa. Don't just call me ignorant. Let me know why. All right, Papa, how's it going? Are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board? Oh, you 50. Oh, you do agree. You're 53. All right. So do you disagree with something I have on the board? All right, sure. Go ahead and pick one. Let's talk about it. Like my same, you can just call me Volcy. It's Volcy, Volcy. Yeah, yeah, sure, and yeah, sure. So, Spider-Man #1, Ben Parker said, "With great power comes great responsibility." Yeah, the reason why I say that, yeah, no, the reason why I say that I don't. The reason why I say that is because just because a book says something doesn't necessarily make it valuable or true, right? Cool. Can you act? Mhm. Cool. Cool. Can you show me that God actually exists first before I take the that Bible for anything? Yes. I'm from South Florida. That's where I'm from. Born and raised, County of Dade. hmm hmm Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, like love and togetherness and humanity, everything that makes us human is great, right? Like I don't disagree with that, right? I love humanity. I love my wife. I love my parents. I love my siblings, and I love the children I'm gonna have one day. Sure, but the thing is like existence in of itself and the feelings that we have doesn't really show a God exists. That it could just be like a natural thing that we have with each other, and that I don't think that makes it any less meaningful just because it's a natural force, or it's a natural occurrence within us. I don't think it makes it any less meaningful because we make our own meaning. At least that's what I think. I don't think we have to spiritualize everything. Hmm. Sure. That's great. Hmm. 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 Okay, cool. So, okay, cool. So cool. So there are people in my family who are going through the same issue that your daughter went through, right? And they're doing the same thing, praying, fasting, all of the everything, going to church, asking God to open up their womb, right? Hasn't happened. Is there a reason that God chose to bless your daughter over my family members? Okay, cool. So okay, cool. So here's another thing that I would ask. It'll be the same thing because I am Haitian actually. So while in Haiti, in our history, right, we were enslaved, and the people who were enslaving us were Christians. The way we got our freedom and became the first free black nation was to throw off Christianity and go to our African deities, and they're the ones who helped us actually get freedom. Does that mean that the African deities are correct and Christian is wrong? No, it's not about us owning slaves. It's not about owning slaves. It's about like during the Haitian Revolution, uh, the way that they were able to galvanize the revolutionaries and galvanize the enslaved people was through voodoo ceremonies, was through praising of African gods, was through the prophets or the priests of those African gods saying that if we keep our traditions of our ancestors, we will beat our enslavers. And that's exactly what happened. So if their prophets came, yeah. So if their prophecies came true, wouldn't that mean that gods are correct? Okay, so cool. No, I got you. It's coincidence. So why couldn't it be a coincidence for the thing when you're praying and there's miracles happen? Couldn't that also be a coincidence? I got you. No, it actually doesn't have a national religion. Haiti is like a freedom of like a it's part of our constitution. The freedom of religion. There is no state religion, but then 80% of people are Christian, Roman Catholic specifically. Well, not really according to the Catholics that I spoke to. The Catholics that I spoke to, they worship Mary more that she's an intercessor for the prayers. Now I understand why Protestants don't agree with that because according to I'm not sure which passage. It's a passage that I can't remember, but according to one of the passages, you can go straight to God. You don't have to go through an intercessor, right? But like the original Catholics and the Orthodox, that's what believe you. They believe that you have to go through an intercessor in order for your prayers to get to God. It's more of a praying than really them worshiping Mary. If that makes sense. Yeah. That's not what I heard from Catholics. Catholics definitely believe that Jesus is a son of God. Like there's a guest that I had for a while called Catholic traditionalist. He asked me the same thing. He said he definitely believes that Jesus is a son of God and sacrificed himself to save the world or whatever. I don't know about that. Yeah, you have to ask Catholic on one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Evidence. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because thing is, for me, faith is not a reliable is not reliable for the oh well if it's not reliable to get to the truth because think about it, you can believe on something on faith and you could be absolutely correct about it, right? You can believe something completely on faith and be correct, right? Exactly, so which means that take something on faith and be completely wrong, and we know that's true because the ancient Egyptians had a whole bunch of faith that the sun was on head of them, and we know that's wrong. Yeah, exactly. So and be absolutely incorrect. So because it's not reliable, we have to go off of something else, which I think we go off of evidence. And that's not just me saying that. I think everyone goes off evidence. Like for example, if I were to tell you I have $10 million in the Bahamas, quit your job and follow me tomorrow, you're not gonna do it, are you? Yeah, exactly. So it's like you're gonna need a lot more for you to follow me. Now, if I were to show you my bank account and pictures and video of the actual money that's there, and several people who said that yeah, he does have the $10 million, and I were to able to fly over there, video call you and say, yo, here's the $10 million. Now you're more likely to come, right? On your account, then you'll be like, maybe I should go over to the office and get a piece of this $10 million that he has, right? Mm. Yeah, I got you, and that's what I'm saying. Even with Jesus being a real guy, like he was probably most definitely probably a real guy. You know what I'm saying? But as far as his powers are concerned, raising people from the dead and walking on water, what proof do we have of that? We just have to go off what the Bible says. Mm-hmm. All right, well, someone actually said it in the comments. Number one, witnesses can lie, but number two, eyewitness testimony is actually one of the least reliable forms of evidence, or of testimony in the court, because of that. Not only because people can lie, because people can misremember, people can be mistaken, people can be delusional. But the third thing I would say is that the Bible simply says that there's eyewitnesses. We have no actual idea, of the veracity of those eyewitnesses actually. You see what I'm saying? Because, like, for example, when we were all in high school, we all read Homer's Iliad. We all read Homer's Odyssey. In the Odyssey and in the Iliad, it mentions that thousands of Greek soldiers saw Zeus come down from the heavens and intervene in the battle. So there in the Iliad, it says there's thousands of people who saw Zeus. Do we actually believe that Zeus is real? Right. So that's why something saying that these people were witnesses is more hearsay than it is evidence. All right. So Papa, I do appreciate you being up. But we did run out of time. I do gotta move on to someone else, but come on back anytime we could have more discussions. All right. Not a problem. I appreciate you. All right, y'all. Keep liking the live, keep sharing it, keep liking the live, keep sharing it. I appreciate everybody who's here. What's his name? Aiona. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is that Aona? The one with the Aona, I guess is your name. Go ahead and come on up. The one who said that Schmittler became an atheist later in his life. Because even if that was true, I'm not sure what that has to do with anything. Go ahead and come on up, and then we can talk about it. All right. All right. So we're gonna move on to Eros. Is that your name? Eros. Cool. Eros. How's it going? Are you over 18? Are you over 18? And do you disagree with something I have on the board? Mm. Let's go off the first thing first. The reason why I say America was never great is because you were in high school, right? You learned about American history. Right. Would you say that? Would you say so? Like that? That's why I say it was never great because we actually never got through that time. We actually never got over it. But the second thing that I would say when you talk about woke, first of all, what did woke come from and what does it mean in its original definition? Okay, right. So in within Black society and social injustice, things to be aware of racism, to be aware of things that are going on around you, right? Be aware when people are being racist. Be aware when society is being unjust, not even just to you, but to others out there, right? Why is that a bad thing? Hold on, Eros. It is objectively true that Stay Woke was created by Black people in Black society. That's who created it. He might be on the call, yeah. Hold on, everybody pause. Everybody pause. Let Eros go first. All right, Alex, go ahead and come on up if you think I don't know anything. Right. But what I'm saying is that Black people came up with the term "stay woke" to mean exactly what I said. That's what it's always meant, right? Then white college students started using it, and then white conservative old men who had no idea what it meant started saying that it's a bad thing. Do you see the problem there? Yeah, exactly. And you went off of that for no reason. Let me ask you a question. When you first heard "stay woke" and you thought that it was, yeah, when you first heard the term, or when you first heard that woke is supposed to be this bad thing, why did you believe that and not really look up to where it came from? Like but that's not what being woke is about. And that's what it never meant. That's what white conservatives said it meant. What do you mean? What is it doing? All it's doing is selling Black people to be aware of what's going on. That's what being woke is. That's what being woke is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So that's what being. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Let's slow down. When you say the movement itself, what does it actually mean? What movement? That's what being woke is. You're woke. Okay. Hold on. Let me just try to explain this. When you become aware that there are systemic injustices and you are affected by those systemic injustices, that's what being woke is. That's all. So anything else that white conservatives made up about it is just something that they completely made up. Like there's nothing. There's no movement. When we say movement, what are we talking about? Like the only reason why people use woke in the way that they use now is more of a pushback against what conservatives have been promoting, right? But like even when you ask them, they have no idea what it means. They say that it means following corporations. They say that it means communism. They say that it means, the LGBT community. They have no clue what it means, and it has no utility. Universal healthcare, universal pre-K, raising the minimum wage, having a maximum wage that that can like having a ceiling and a floor for your wage that matches. Let's see, regulations, environmental concerns, things that'll make society better. Correct. Yeah, exactly. My god is Olodumare, the god of West African Yoruba. Right, but when I say that my god is the god of West African Yoruba, right? The reason why I said that is because there are dozens of iterations of gods out there. What makes yours the right one? Yes. How do you know that? How do you? Hold on. Let's listen to my question. How do you know that? How do you know all the other gods are man-made and yours isn't? Yeah, let Eros go. Right, but but you know that there's also the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the scrolls of Buddhism, all the other religions, right? You know about those? The Quran, the Quran is very popular, and so is Buddhism. There are over 800. Yeah, give me a second, BJ. Yeah, there are over 800 million Sikhs. There are like almost a billion Hindus. All that. Give me a second. Give me a second, y'all. Give me one moment. It's gonna be my birthday on this Sunday, right? And my wifey just gave me my present. Hold on, yeah. I'm gonna open my present on stream right now. Give me a second. Give me a second. Hey, look what wifey got me, dog. Look at wifey got me. Hey, look at that. Hey, yeah. I love this. This is like Pan African colors. It's dope. I love this. Hell yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Ooh. Y'all, the Persian having the best cologne. I lie. Them Persians be having the best cologne. This is like that Persian cologne. Hell yeah. I can already tell. Assad is a cologne. I could tell, man. They be colognes as well. But yeah. Persians, they be having good ass rugs and good ass cologne. Hell yeah, this is clean. I'm gonna wear this when we go out because we going down to Miami for my birthday because that's where I grew up at. So we're gonna hit up Club 11, and I'm definitely wearing this. Yeah, born and raised Kanye. Hell yeah. I'm proud socialist in a second. Just give me one moment. All right. So my bad, y'all. That was just a little thank you, baby. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Give me a kiss on stream. Come on. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Give me a kiss on stream. There you go. Love you. All right. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and get back in. All right. So Eros, you still there? So this is what I would encourage you to do, Eros, because there are other versions of gods out there. They're not as popular as Christianity, of course. Only reason that is because Christianity is the one that's most through colonialism, and Islam is the one that spread a lot through colonialism as well, right? So there are other religions out there. You know what I'm saying? So all you got to do. I think Eros is on the call. All right, Eros, I do appreciate you though. All right. I got you. I got you. All right. Your name is Jose, right? Jose and RJ, I got you. I know you're gonna be next after Jose. Not a problem. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He does. Mm-hmm. This is also true. Yeah, if there was a an almighty creator, it would definitely be beyond a he or she. Definitely. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I'm uh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely don't have any I definitely don't have any beef with that iteration, right? Now there are gonna be people of course some people who disagree to say like, that's kind of, woo woo nonsense, and it is kind of woo woo, but it's not harmful in my opinion. Can you give me just 1 second? All right, Jose, I know RJ want to say something. Just give me one moment. RJ, you still there? Mm. All good. All good. Ain't no shame. I'm getting some pre rolls for this weekend myself. You know what I mean? I got some Eddie Winslow's too. So hey, yeah, man. I got some Eddie Winslow's that I'm packing up right now. So if I'm saying Eddie Winslow, but y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So, but yeah, RJ, what did you want to say? Oh, not really a responsible Jose. I think Jose is like a friendly amount. Proud is also a friendly. So we're not gonna really disagree with anything. I just wanted to know if did you disagree with anything that I have on the board? If not, it's fine. If sure thing, sure thing. Uh-huh. Mhm. 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 Um, the woke that I'm talking about is the one that our community came up with. You know what I mean? Being aware of racism and social injustice, and especially against us. Like that's the woke I'm talking about. Yeah, the original. That's why I say being woke is good. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, sure. Which ones? And that's not a problem, man. Go ahead. Yeah, keep liking the live and keep sharing it. I appreciate it. Let's try to get to 5K likes. So I appreciate y'all being here. We've been on for about 30 minutes now. Let's go ahead and get us to 5K likes. RJ, my bad. Go ahead. Hmm. 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 Okay. So okay, cool. So here's what I would say, right? The gender divide is something that's been going on for a few decades now. Like the gender divide was before us, right? For example, there's a conversation between James Baldwin and oh man, they're gonna be mad at me because I forgot her name. I think it was Angela Davis, but I think it was a conversation between them two, right? And even they had, if you listen to that conversation, they're saying a lot of the things that black men and black women say to each other today, like the same thing. And this was like 50 years ago. You see what I'm saying? So this has been going on for a while, right? But one thing that I would say when it comes to gender equality and everything like that, the only reason why it's such a divide is because there are people who simply do not agree that, you know, there should be like equality of and not like gendered expectations. Like you are a woman, so you do this, and you are a man, so you do that. There are people who think that men's role is to be here and that and or here and that and the third, and women's role is supposed to be here, that, and the third. And there are people on my side who say that we should not expect that of people just because they have certain genitals or they have a certain gender identity. That should not be the case, right? Because that's essentially like essentialism, and essentialism for the most part just doesn't work out in our society. Meaning that immutable characteristics that you have, you're expected to do certain things. That doesn't work in our society, especially for us as men. You feel what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of men, especially in black men, we're expected to perform masculinity in a certain way. And in a lot of ways, it's killing us. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of young black men out there who are like emotionally and mentally not well because they can't express themselves fully because that wouldn't be the man thing to do. You see what I'm saying? So that's why, like, when leftists talk about gender equality and diluting gender expectations, that's what we mean. Like, be the full breadth of your humanity and not just this box that you're expected to perform in. You see what I'm saying? Hmm? Yeah, that's kind of what we mean by that. Yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Go. I cut you off. I'm saying, see, like there are like they may be some massage that I believe in. I'm not even aware of it. You see, you see what I mean? So like it's a process. You know what I mean? It's a process. Now, one thing I would agree with you, online has gotten very, very reactionary because the new generation, Gen Z, a lot of Gen Z grew up on streamers, and a lot of Gen Z grew up on like reactionary content, and that's bleeding into our real life where people are reactionaries, where you can't even say something without someone just jumping at it. You feel what I'm saying? Which is, in my opinion, my lady told me to talk about this, but the literacy issue that we have in our society, I think that's more of a reactionary issue because these kids can read the words on the paper, right? They can read the words on a page. They just can't comprehend them because they're reacting to every single sentence instead of getting the full message. Like, remember when we were in the third grade and we learned the main paragraph, the main idea of the paragraph? Uh, exactly. A lot of them are not doing that nowadays. You see what I'm saying? They're just reacting to each sentence out of order. And that causes a lot of issues. You see what I'm saying? So now I do agree with you with that. Everything that's going on online is bleeding into our real lives. Like, look at what we have with are going on in our presidency right now, where if you read what Doge cut, Doge was cutting things that don't even need to be cut. They're just reacting to words, and they say, okay, it needs to be cut because it's woke or whatever. That's what I'm talking about. That's where all the issues are coming from. But you get where I'm coming from, right? RJ, like all of this. So I do agree with you that a lot of we do have a lot of online issues bleeding into real life. But leftists talk about getting our breath of humanity and everything like that. This is what we mean when I'm talking about, like, who you are as a person and not just staying in a box, if that makes sense. Sure. Mhm. Right. essentially when I say why should I believe in your God or any God at all, I'm asked the reason why I believe things is I'm convinced through empirical evidence. So I'm basically asking what's the basically what's the empirical evidence or a good reason, like why should I believe that essentially. I'm gonna get to you next. All right, Proud. I know you've been patient. Thank you for being patient with me, Proud. Go ahead, RJ. I'm sorry. Sure, not a problem. You're a little muffled though. That's better. Yeah. Cool. Hmm? Hmm? Yeah, of course. Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, when it comes to Buddhism, Buddhism is like I've heard it described as more of an atheistic religion because like there's really no supreme God there, but it's more of a just like how you said it's a lifestyle, more of a journey. You see what I'm saying? And just like how someone said in the comments, it's kind of hard to hate on because it's not about colonizing anyone or forcing anyone to having to believe or have to believe or really even telling you how to live your life or how certain things are quote unquote sins or whatever. You see what I'm saying? So it's more of a life, just like how you said. I do agree with having some sort of path and journey and having some sort of drive, right? I don't disagree with that. And Buddhism seems to give a lot of people some of that path of life. Now, I don't sorry about that. I don't necessarily follow it because I don't know anything much about it, which is why I don't necessarily follow it. But I do know that Buddha is a lot. I do know that Buddha was an actual god. You know what I'm saying? I do know that. And there's no real actual god within Buddhism, even though there could be some paranormal things, but it's not really, a god belief thing. Hmm. Right, exactly. Yeah, I can take a look into Buddhism. I don't really mind. But all right, RJ, we got about a minute left, and I do got to move on. But I do appreciate you though, and definitely follow me, and then we could talk about it more. All right, all right, appreciate you. No problem. All right, Proud. I do apologize that it took a while, and I know that you've been patient with me. Mm, definitely, definitely. Hmm. That's what I said. I got to bring him up. I definitely got to bring you up. Mm. Appreciate you. Mm. Mhm. 3rd of September. Mhm. Lay that solid. Hell yeah. Mm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I just look young, but I'm in my 30s. Yeah, I mean, so but I look really young. Mhm. 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 I heard. Yeah. Mhm. 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 Oh, sorry to hear that, man. Mhm. Ooh. Mhm. 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 They don't want it. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Mm. Yeah, yeah, of course. Mhm. 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 I remember it. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah. Personal accounts? Yeah. Of course. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You probably feel like this. Like sometimes, do you feel like you're the only one that way who actually cares about people, and you're good just because that's you are good? Not you not doing it for maybe a reward at the end.
Right, right, exactly. Like I don't need an award to help people out. Like it's just good to help them.
Yeah. And you know, I'm sure you've gotten this one. And I had this conversation with this young lady. I was driving, I had rented an electric car and I was at the charger, and, you know, I'm sitting there, and she, you know, struck up a conversation with me and said, you know, and I was just telling her, you know, just talking like I am with you. I'm a
Yeah.
talker, you know. I have the gift of gab. And she said, "You're a nice person. You're a good person. You know, I like it." She said, "You're a good person. You should come to church with me." I said,
They
"Why?"
always expect that. They
Yeah,
always
always.
expect
She
you to
said,
be a
and
church
yes,
person.
don't you get this one? You go, because you're better than a lot of the people in my own words. If I'm better than them, why the hell would I want to associate with those people?
With them people, yeah, I want to associate with them.
I don't want to know. Those are people I don't want to know.
Exactly.
And then she goes on, and then, you know, of course, she asked me if I'm atheist, and obviously,
Yeah.
well, why are you good? I said,
I'm good.
because I'm good. I know I don't want to hurt anyone. I think everyone's deserves the basics of living. If nothing else, they deserve the basic things.
Exactly.
And she said, I said, but I don't need a book or God
to tell me that.
or a promise of heavenly life to be good. And I said, do you need a book? Would you be good without the Bible? She looked dead in my face and said, no, I wouldn't. I said, I'm gonna go now because I'm afraid of you.
No, I've heard that before, and it's kind of crazy to me because it's like I've always told people, like, okay, if you feel that you need that, if you were to tell me one day, Volsi, I'm starting to not believe anymore, I think I'm gonna go out and hurt somebody. First of all, I will call your pastor myself, get you into that Uber, and take you to church myself. All right, I will do that because I don't want you to lose it, because I don't want you to hurt somebody else. I don't want you to hurt yourself. But I will also say you need to get your ass into therapy, because if you need a book to tell you not to hurt people, there is something deeply wrong. There's something extremely wrong, and and we need to figure out why. You know what I mean? And I want you to get that help, which is why I believe in universal health care, because I know you not be able to afford it in else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you really need that. I'm sure that you get it, but I also believe that you need some help, some deep psychological help, because it's not normal.
And then again on the religion, because I've tried when I was growing up, I saw the hypocrisy in the Baptist church, and I saw the pastors and the people be hypocrites, and nothing upsets me more than a hypocrite. It just, I think it's foul. I think it's disgusting. I have no love for hypocrites. And
Same.
And I told my mom, because I respected that woman, God, and I miss her so much. I told her, I said, when I graduate, I'm gonna leave the church. And she said, why? I said, because I respect you and love you. I remember this conversation every day. I tell people, I love you, but I'm gonna go to church because you want me. That's the way you want me. And she said, that's fine. I left the church, and I kind of went to Seventh-day Adventist, tried that. I realized that they go to church on Saturday. I said, whoop. That's a deal breaker right there. I did the Nation of Islam for a minute, and I liked it, but I didn't like the love that they showed from Louis Farrakhan. That I was like, Minister Farrakhan, he says a lot. So the day after graduation, I went to stay with my sister down on the Gulf Coast, and she was a Jehovah's Witness, and you know that's a cult. I mean, all religion is a cult, but Jehovah's Witness is Jim Jones.
That's a cult.
Cult.
Yeah, that's a cult. Yeah.
They, you know, you have to leave your family and all of that, but they convinced me that because they were showing me the Bible, they are methodical in their indoctrination.
They
And
are.
if I've ever been indoctrinated into something, it was that.
Mhm.
And I was there for 8 years, and I remember as I went along, and I started to see the hypocrisy in people, the leaders. I have become, behave. I have become a ministerial servant and a full-time pioneer. I was dedicated. I went to I was doing door to door, 90 hours a month. I was a step below the elder. That's a ministerial servant. And I was helping one of the elders who was my mentor at the time on a Saturday, or I think it was a Saturday afternoon. And we were just cleaning up the Kingdom Hall, and somebody called. And the lady asked, she says, I'm very desolate. She said, me and my daughter were sleeping in the car, and I'm just calling all the religious organizations trying to get some help. This is in 1990, 91, 91, I think. And so, and I say, well, I'm sure we can help because I know we had funds in the organization, and I know we had clothing and stuff. The elder, because at this time I'm a student, and I said, Brother Miller, I have a lady on the phone. She says she really needs some help and blah, blah, blah. And I said, can we help her? He says, is she a member of the organization?
Mm-hmm.
And I went back and I said, she didn't say that, but I said, let me ask her. And I asked her, and she said, no, I'm not. She said, I don't really go to any church. I just need some help.
Yeah.
And I asked Brother Miller, and he said, then we can't help her. And he went back to doing what he's doing. And it was at that moment I said, this shit is not for me.
Same.
And then I went buck wild. Now, mind you, I'm 25 at the time, celibate, and I've been looking at my pictures from back in the day. I tell people I should have been having a lot more sex when I was young. If you look at my profile, you can see my prom picture. You look at me, man. I look like a freaking model, man. I'm a little bit arrogant on that because I'm like, what's that?
Like that was me.
That was me. And I did not know. And dude, mind you, I was popular in school. I was never been arrogant. I was the lead saxophone player. Ooh. Not knowing, everybody considered me the GOAT because I played the solo in Careless Whisper. I played the baritone in classical band. I played the flute, alto, tenor, and baritone in stage band. When I walked on stage, I had 4 instruments lined up, and people would see me cycle through them. And I got to play a jazz set impromptu with my band director. Walked on stage, I'm playing the cadence for everybody to walk on stage. He signaled to me, keep going. And I'm looking at him like, I know what you about to do. Don't you do it. He came out there. He played trumpet. He just said, go with, I said, all right, just keep playing the same lick. And I did. And he started, doing that Dizzy Gillespie, type shit. And I'm going like, this mother. And so I know my horn well, and I'm knowing what sound each keys would make. And I just started riffing, and I'm playing that baritone, like hitting those notes. Like I used to do this thing called a trill, where you go from the top note all the way down to the bottom note. I hit a couple of those, the crowd went, wow.
All right, proud.
My other bandmates standing to the side, going like, "Why did I know you can do jazz?" I say, low key, I made that shit up.
Yeah. All right, proud. We are just about out of time. All right, but I do appreciate you being
here. Do follow me. I followed you already. I'm gonna hang around for a minute, but I'm going to going to do karaoke tonight because my birthday come around the corner, man.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. Go ahead. Your birthday's around the corner. But I appreciate you being up. I did follow you back, and we'll definitely talk more. All right.
All right, yeah, I'll hang around and be a creep for a minute, just kind of, hear other
Not a
people
problem.
talk.
Not a problem.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Appreciate
All right,
you.
nice talking with
Okay.
you, brother.
All right. You too. All right, Mac. And Wilfred, I'm gonna get to you right after Mac. All right. But Mac, I think you are a friendly of mine, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Let's see. Am I off mute here?
Yeah, you're off of mute.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Volsi. I don't know if I am. I don't think so. But I've been very interested in the conversation. You can probably tell I'm white. And that may or may not matter to the conversation we'll have. We'll see. Proud Socialist. That was a show. Thank you, man. That was fun. Yeah. I guess we'll start with number one,
Sure.
if you want to.
Sure.
America was never great. Yeah. So that's kind of a like holistically, like I would agree with that, right?
Sorry.
Like,
Mac, I'm sorry, Mac. Give me 1 second. Wilfred, come back on up. I don't know why you disappeared. Come on up, Wilfred. Go ahead, Mac. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So like holistically, there's always been aspects of America that have not been great, but there are aspects that are great, I would argue. And you can tell me if you agree or disagree.
Yeah, I actually do agree. America can be great. It's just not now. Never has been, I think.
Yeah, I think like in terms of like the nation state, right? But I do think that there was something to the follow me here, the Enlightenment, right? The democracy revolution, in France and America, kind of setting up these secular, and I'll use quotes, secular nation states, where it did kind of have this through line, this trickle effect of, America became more and more democratic. These ideas, like the people, and I'm not saying the leaders, but the people like really started taking these ideas seriously. You know what I mean? So like things like, the abolitionist movement, and then the women's rights movement, like democracy started expanding. Now, I would argue that democracy, like America, has become less democratic, if you will, in the last, I don't know, 40 years, let's say.
Yeah, we've been trending towards socialism. I mean, not socialism. We've been trending towards fascism for a while now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's escalated, under Trump, for sure. So I think there's aspects that are great.
There are aspects of America that are that are great, right? Like innovation. America likes to innovate a lot. That's a great thing, in my opinion. There are other aspects like for example, American exceptionalism can be annoying, but the fact that the fact that the attitude of saying that since we are Americans, we have to do good things, we have to do great things. I do believe that's an important aspect to have, right? I do think just like your pride in your nation, to say that because I'm part of this nation, I must do great things. That's important. I don't have any beef with that, right? But the other aspects of America, of because we are America, the bad things that we did are just mistakes, and those bad things are not there anymore. And those were in the past. And Martin Luther King solved racism. Like that type of idea of, because we can do great things, therefore the bad things that we've done either don't matter at all or don't matter anymore, is what I have a problem with, because you do not solve issues that way. Make sense?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm all with you there. So like, going to number 2, being woke is a good thing. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think there's no question about that.
Cool.
But back to America was never a great thing. So like, I think that, some of the culture, the art, the things that have gone on in America, have been really good. I think what you're doing here is really good, kind of like a modern day Black intellectual. I think some of the, Black intellectuals, from America's history are some of the best thinkers. Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, Maya Angelou.
Excuse me. Sorry.
When I read what they wrote, it's like, oh my gosh, that applies so well to today. So like kind of what you were saying is like, we're still dealing with like the same things. And like they were writing about it then. Like Frederick Douglass was writing about it then. W.E.B. Du Bois was writing about it after, Reconstruction.
Exactly.
And this is, if you guys have ever read Black Reconstruction in America by W.E.B. Du Bois, it's great. It's a long one.
It is a long one. It's a pretty long one. But yeah,
so
very good books.
It's kind of dense, but like, yeah, definitely read that.
Black Jacobins, definitely read. Yeah, definitely read Black Jacobins. Definitely read Blood in My Eye by George Jackson. Blood in My Eye by George Jackson is amazing. You know what I mean? So give me 1 second. All right. Let's see. Drew, come on up. Let's talk about your racism, Drew. All right. But yeah, was there anything else? Was that great?
Yeah, so I think leftist policies are better for society. So I mean, I'm kind of with Proud Socialist here. I would just call it socialist policies.
Hitler was great.
Oh God.
Yeah, Greg, you have to wait for us real quick.
The German Socialist Workers Party.
Hey, Greg, it's not your turn, Greg. Not your turn. All right, go ahead, Mac. What you were saying?
Yeah, so leftist. So like, let me give you a little bit of my like political. It's still warping. I'm 32. I'm still kind of forming it.
Yeah, sure.
What exactly my political I don't know what you call it. Philosophy is. It's definitely left of the Democrats. So like, I have a lot of problems with, I definitely have a lot of problems with the Democrats. But then leftist, so it's almost like because there's no party, leftist becomes this parking lot for everything left of the Democratic Party, which includes things that are further left than me. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like more like Proud Socialist, where it's like, yeah, let's just call it socialism and like be proud of it. Like that's like, like a lot of stuff FDR did, especially like setting things up post World War II, like where the boomers really, at least the white boomers, really benefited from, those basically socialist, democratic socialist policies.
No,
like we can keep that, or like we can have that. Like it was good for America.
Social programs are not socialism.
Hey, Greg, it is not your turn.
The workers owning the means of production.
It's not your turn, Greg. Don't not interrupt again. It's not your turn. Go ahead, Mac.
So yeah, I would definitely frame it as socialist or democratic socialist. Definitely with a with that key point of democracy, because you don't want to end up.
Oh, Greg ran away. Greg ran away. But go ahead, Mac. But yeah. So when it comes to communism, right? Like the only issue I have with communism is that I'm not sure how a moneyless society actually works. But I would love to go to that, because if we look at post-capitalist media such as Star Trek or the Orville, there might be ways to do it. In a society without money, we have to get to post-scarcity. And see, now we actually are, for a lot of ways, in post-scarcity. We just have artificial scarcity. Like, for example, America itself produces enough food to feed the entire planet, right? We just don't do it because there's no profit in it. You know what I mean? So if there was no money, there will be no profit motive, and then we will still produce enough to go ahead and feed the entire world. Like, I don't if we can live in a society where everyone's basic needs are met, sure. You see what I'm saying? But I just don't know how we get there, or if it'll actually work, because we live in a society where we are concerned so much about making money. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only thing that we know how to work. Like, to that's the only way we know how society works, is through this currency exchange. That's the only way. You see what I'm saying? So if we can get to a point where we understand that society does not need to work that way, then we can get to a post-scarcity society, and we can actually get to communism.
Yeah, that, and I think you know, I don't agree with everything, but I think you bring up some good points about, like, yeah, maybe just imagining it differently, right? You know, because like, you know, Marx and the Marxists, the ideology, you know, it was written, you know, in a different generation. I mean, a lot has changed since then, right? So maybe you know, this post scarcity future, you could rebrand it or something, you know, and start calling it, you know, a post scarcity, you know, democratic, you know, society, something. I don't know.
There are people
But
who
that's
have said that instead of calling it democratic socialism, just call it humane capitalism, because, like, you know, it still keeps the system of profit in place. We just use the profit to benefit more of society. It actually is humane capitalism. That's really what it is. You see what I'm saying? So, like, it's we can start rebranding it and start calling it that. But I have no problem just calling it socialism, because if you really think about it, socialism is literally just humane capitalism.
well, and we know that works in America. I mean, we've done it. You know what I mean? Like, we've had wildly successful, you know, programs in the past. I mean, they benefited mostly white people, but you know, it doesn't have to be that way again. You know, we can imagine a better way of
All right. Did you want to talk about or disagree with anything else?
the God thing? Not really. I'm not too theist.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah, all good. Sure.
And then faith is unreliable for finding truth. Yeah, that's kind of a loaded one too. You know, kind of like the America was never a great thing, because faith can mean a lot of different things too. Because, like, kind of the way I seek truth is definitely like more scientific, right? Like you were kind of describing earlier, like, you know, you have to have a good explanation for something. But there is a sense of, I do have faith that the universe will keep obeying certain rules. Like I do have faith that the sun will rise up in the morning, and it's not because I know, you know, Newton's theory of gravity or general relativity or any of that. It is almost like an act of faith that the universe will keep working in the future.
Is because it's not really faith, because you already have the evidence, right? You have the evidence that this is the way that it works, and that's the way that that it's always worked, and you have no reason to believe that it will do something else. You know what I mean? So you have evidence that you have evidence of it, just like how when you go start your car tomorrow, like you started your car yesterday, the day before, and you have no reason to believe that it's not going to start. Now, if you go outside tomorrow morning and see that you left your lights on, now you have evidence that, you know, you might have drained your battery. But if you don't have the evidence that your battery is drained, then it is possible that your car won't start. That is possible, but you just have no reason to believe that when you go to your car tomorrow, it's gonna lift off the ground and fly. There's just no evidence for you to have that. Doesn't mean that it can't happen. It's just that there's no evidence for it, right? So I don't think that it's faith to think that the sun is gonna rise tomorrow. All the evidence, the Earth spins, and the Earth spinning is going around the sun, and what Earth spinning and going around the sun is evidence that, you know, the sun will come up and notice tomorrow, because that's how it happens. Now, could the Earth stop spinning tomorrow, or is it gonna stop spinning tomorrow? Right?
Right. Yeah, I think it's a little nuanced point. I think what I'm saying, you have reasons to believe, you know, those scientific models, is, and I don't necessarily think that the universe obeys those scientific models. I think those scientific models do very, so it's like I almost have faith in like human reasoning, you know, I guess that's how I would describe it. But yeah, it's a semantic argument. So I think I'm mostly on the same wavelength as you with that.
All right, cool, sure, not a problem. All right, Mac, we're gonna go ahead and move on, but I do appreciate you, and
Thanks, Rolsey.
not a problem. We'll talk more. All righty, y'all. Really real. You've been speaking in the comments. Actually, hold on, give me 1 second. Here's someone who called me an idiot, so we're just gonna go ahead and invite him up and see why I think so. All right, so yeah, you've been telling me in the comments that we should be concerned about Project 2025. I agree with you.
Yes, because I think everything else is simply smoke and mirrors. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you come down to concept of morality, we know, through our legal system that our president has broken the law in many forms and fashions, decade after decade, well before he ever was president of the United States. So, yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. So, and we know his comprehension level. So why are all these things happening to us? Why are all these things that are going to affect our society for decades?
Ooh. Really, I think you got a call. Did you get a call? All right, y'all. Go ahead and keep liking the live and keep sharing it. I may take one more guess before I go ahead and get out of here.
Go ahead and take a guess, and I followed you. Follow me back, and
no. Go ahead. Keep going because I don't have another guess yet. Go ahead and keep going.
Yeah, I plugged up into my computer, and when I do that, it pops up a screen. And anyhow, what I was trying to say is, it's minorities' ideology, and belief system, and taking over the will of the majority. And they have an agenda. You know what I'm saying? They said it was a mandate to leadership. They dated it 2025.
Yeah.
And yet people denied it. And that's where the real things are actually happening, because it's 47% complete, and they're implementing things in direct changes to all of our protections. You know what I'm saying? And people are not understanding that. The rest of it is just smoke and mirrors, I mean, occupation. Now, he did say he was going to be a dictator for a day. No one took him seriously with that. He's making all the steps of becoming that, and our system is fragile. Our Constitution is just a piece of paper with words on it. It's what it stands for, and it's evolving, and we can change it. The majority can change it.
Yeah,
it's not set in stone. Yeah, but the thing is, once you start believing, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for all the bad thing Trump's for all the horrible things that Trump is doing, right? There is one positive thing that he's showing. How there is, because just like how you said, number one, how fragile our system is, and number two, that the fact that the way our system works is if there's enforcement on it, right? He's actually showing that there really isn't not a lot of enforcement on the president. There's really not a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I think like after Trump, post-Trump, a lot of us are going to be shocked at everything, but we actually have to reassess exactly what we're doing and reassess exactly what the checks on the president are. Because from what we're seeing, what Trump is doing, the president can do literally almost anything he wants, and there's no real way to stop him. You see what I'm saying? Especially if he has the Supreme Court on behind him. You see what I'm saying? Especially if he has especially if he has Congress behind him. There really is no way to stop the president unless society stops him. And from what we're seeing, most of society either wants him to go through what everything he's going through, or doesn't really care. You see what I'm saying? And yeah, it's concerning. It's very, very concerning. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what's gonna happen next. And yeah, I'm a bit worried myself. I'm a bit concerned. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, when we look online, when we look on things like the Shade Room and black social media, a lot of us are just like, well, things are going to shit. Black folks are just gonna go back and chill out and just wait for it to go to shit. But what I've always said is that I understand why y'all don't want to get involved anymore, because we did what we're supposed to do. But be vigilant. Be vigilant, because when white America has a cold, Black America catches pneumonia. You see what I'm saying? So it's not going to be the greatest for us. Things could get really, really bad for us. So be vigilant. Make sure to have mutual aid. Organize within your community. Or like I'm speaking to people in group chats every single day. You know what I'm saying? Saying, hey, yo, this happens, this is where we go. If this happens, this is where we need to grow. if this happens, this is, you know, the pew-pews that you need. You know what I'm saying? We're speaking online every day because we need to, you know?
No, the fallacy comes because it relies on participation. Our whole democracy relies on our participation. That right to vote is a participation that you have to utilize. If not, then you come into situations like this because they will twist and move the goalposts to their advantage because they have the power to do that. And they're doing that to retain the power. But the things they're implementing are going to affect us decade after. It took decades for us to establish to reach this point.
Yeah.
It might take decades for us to fix it.
Yep.
It's not going to happen in a 4-year term. It's not going to happen like that. And that's my concern because they're triggering. Just think about it, my brother. Department of Education, EPA, the FDA. I mean, you could go. Part of Project 2025 is getting rid of FDIC, brother.
Yeah.
You know how impactful that would be?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much that we don't, like I said, you're finna get out. We don't have time to discuss it, but bring awareness to it. And the most heinous thing I think is that the media is not covering any of it. None of it.
Yeah, none of
it. They
it.
don't tell you. You have to do independent research in order to find out what's actually going on, who's actually pulling the strings. Yeah. And you can't deny them. They're facts right there in your face. How many cabinet members are from Heritage Foundation? You know what I'm saying? How many appointees, 40-something appointees from Heritage Foundation? If you can't see that, man, and you can't do the math, all this black on white and religion, that's not what's going on. That's not what's happening. But anyhow, my brother, I appreciate the time. I really like having a conversation with you. I like listening because I learn when I listen. But right before I get off, I love this when you're talking about faith with the other guy that was up for you. See, here's the thing. If you dig real deep in the scripture, it says one thing about faith. Faith is the belief in the things unseen, which we don't know. We can't see it. You know what I'm saying? And the things yet to come, things that are going to come in the future. But then the other aspect of faith that everyone fails to realize, it says faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith in the world, but if you don't put forth no action to support your faith, then it's simply dead. Exactly. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you, man.
Not a problem, bro. I appreciate you being up.
Have a wonderful night.
You as well. All right, guys. Atman, I think your name is. We're gonna go ahead and Atman's gonna be my last guest for tonight if I don't get anybody else. I do appreciate everybody here. I do appreciate everyone who's watching me on YouTube. I'm gonna come up with a new schedule. I'm doing these Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Tuesdays is gonna be my testimonial Tuesdays. I'm gonna be talking to Black atheists, how they became a Black atheist, minority within minority. And then on Wednesday and Thursday is when I'm going to be doing a lot of my debates. So I appreciate everybody being here. The only reason why I'm lagging over on YouTube is because, again, I got a laptop and, I have to use it until my computer is back. But Atman, I do appreciate you being here on the live. Are you over 18? And do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes, I'm in my early 20s. I don't know if you want me to give my age specifically, but I am over 18.
All right. And do you disagree with something I have on the board, or did you just have a question?
I would like to ask for further clarification on one of your positions, and then we can see if our disagreement is of any substance.
Sure.
I want to talk about number 2. You say being woke is good. Woke seems to be a loaded term nowadays, so I was wondering if you could extrapolate on what you mean by that, because it seems like you're a fairly progressive socialist type, but I would say that wokeness is a two-way street. And if you say that being woke is good, it can kind of be a bit confusing because I don't know if you've heard this phrase, but there's this idea of a woke right going around within the MAGA base, the America First sort of maybe more gripper contingent of the American right wing that could similarly be described as woke. But yeah, I'm interested in your view.
Okay. When I say being woke is good, it's because I go off the original definition, the one that Black society came up with, of being aware of racial and social injustice, specifically against Black people, but in general, you can notice it against anybody else, right? That's exactly what being woke is. Once you realize that there are systems in place that are unjust towards minorities and other marginalized groups, but primarily because it became primarily us, because it started with us. That's what being woke is. Once you understand systems of of inequality and oppression. That's woke.
Yeah, pretty interesting. I would say that I don't disagree with this description of woke in principle, but I would say that the modern form of contemporary wokeness that's found in commonly American leftism, I would say, is a toxic ideology that I completely disagree with, especially as it comes to how, let's just say, like, and this is kind of a cliche phrase, so forgive me, but how woke leftists have kind of dominated society in the cultural realm, which I think has been a net negative for us in many different regards. Specifically, things like defending. I don't want to get your stream banned because you do seem like a reasonable and respectful guy, but like the drag queen story hour stuff, or stuff to do with defending prostitution as like a legitimate job, quote unquote.
I think that has nothing to do with being woke. That's just what white conservatives said it was, and everyone just ran with it for no reason. Like, that literally has nothing to do with wokeness. Nothing. Here's what happened, right? Black people said it. White college students heard it. White college students are starting to hear it. Then folks like Ron DeSantis and Trump heard it, and then and Ron DeSantis heard it, and then they said woke is bad. They had no idea what it meant because they're not connected to the community. If you really think people like Ron DeSantis is going to go to the hood and get a haircut, he's not around black, so he has no idea what it means. Neither is Marco Rubio, neither Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or Charlie Kirk is not going to go to the fourth ward of Houston to get a haircut. He's going to soup cuts around other white conservatives. They have no idea what this stuff means. So they just heard white college students say it, and then they started saying, "Oh, it must be a bad thing. We have to be against it." That's really what it is. They have no idea what they're talking about. So when people say that woke is defending, drag king story hour, this is why black people look at y'all like, what are y'all talking about? That has nothing to do with anything. Now, drag king story hour, I don't really have a big issue with it because it's just, guys in dresses reading to kids. I don't give a shit about that. They're not harming anybody, so I don't care. But as far as what does that have to do with woke, literally nothing. It's just some shit they make up.
Okay, I think we can find a common bridge in the sense of I dislike all of the conservative politicians and influencers, ranging from Charlie Kirk to Marco Rubio that you mentioned, and you won't catch me defending any of these guys. However, I do think that we should be able to both agree that woke, or any term really, can always undergo developments beyond its original meaning, and I think that insisting that the meaning of a phrase is restricted to one particular time period when it's taken on a life of its own kind of is a way to evade the tougher questions that come with advocating for a woke worldview. Because, and I'm sure that this is like a pretty inoffensive statement to make, but wokeness, as you said earlier, is a sort of critical framework. It's a way of understanding the world. You are woke because you are waking up to the realities of the world that other people are rather silent on, or maybe wholly unaware on. And so I think that it's a bit, I don't want to call you disingenuous because it feels like a sharp word, but I would disagree with the insistence on just keeping woke in one corner and saying it is this and only this, and everybody else has an incorrect definition of it, or that it's quote unquote co-opted.
Yeah,
seems
okay.
To be a popular word.
No, but here's the thing: it was co-opted because, like, when conservatives started using woke as a pejorative, and every time you asked them what they meant, could they give you an answer?
Maybe they couldn't, but I definitely could.
Right. No. Yeah, there are people who definitely could, but where did your definition come from? Did it come from the people who actually made the term, or did it come from just conservative media?
Well, why can't it be both to varying degrees?
Right. Okay. But that's my issue, because it could be the same to varying degrees, but conservative media co-opted it. They had no idea what it meant. They just started attaching different things that they didn't like to the word woke, and everybody just ran with it. But it like when I do agree with you, words can transform, right? Like, for example, the word "retarded." I'm not going to say the full word because I don't want to get taken down. But that word, right? It used to just mean someone who had intellectual disabilities, but people started using it as an insult, and nowadays it's a slur, and nowadays it's considered rude. It's considered almost comparable to racial slurs now. You see what I'm saying? But that's because it transformed, right? There were utility to it. It was attached as an insult to other things, and it developed in society into that, right? Over the course of maybe 10, 15 years. When it comes to the term woke, conservatives heard it and then attached everything to it and then had no clear definition for it. It just got co-opted, right? So I understand that words can transform, but they transform because they have utility. The only utility to this was to hate people on the left. That's really it. Because, for example, if you take a look at like, for example, shows like what was that show that was on Disney? It was the Star Wars show. Yeah, it was a Star Wars show. I forgot. It was a Star Wars show. What was that Star Wars show? It was the one before Andor. Damn. What was that show?
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with the Star Wars.
Yeah,
canon. Otherwise I would genuinely help you.
Okay. Oh, here's a good one. Are you familiar with Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Okay.
Vaguely.
So when Prime came out with Lord of the Rings: Ring of Power, right? And they had black people in it. What did everybody start calling it?
Woke?
Exactly.
Is this weird?
What
Yeah,
exactly?
that was a leading.
Exactly. So what does black people being in fantasy have to do with being woke? Like, what does that mean? You see what I'm saying? So when I say that it has no utility and it has, this is what I'm talking about, right? Anything that they don't like, or even just to be racist, they call it woke.
Hey, those
Okay.
words all come from engineering, though. That R word, that's a technical term. You can R word timing on a timing belt.
Yeah, I
And if you think
understand.
about it,
I
maybe
understand,
these
Mikhail.
guys came up with
Mikhail,
all the-
hell. Give me a second. All right. It's
Oh, no worries.
right. It's Adam's turn first, and then it's gonna be you. Just give me 1 second. But yeah, when I say that thing are co-opted or have no utility, or the only utility for it is to just be racist, that's what I'm talking about. Like, for example, when you go on Twitter, for example, everything is DEI. If it's a black person in it, it's DEI. For example, they call the mayor of Baltimore the DEI mayor. You see what I'm saying? And when you ask them what exactly does DEI mean, they say didn't earn it, right? But mayors get voted in, so how did he earn it? You see what I'm saying? So the only utility that folks have been using woke and DEI for is typically just to hate on anything that's left of them, or just to be racist. That's the only utility, which is why when people use woke as a pejorative, there's an eyebrow raiser, like you're probably just using it to be racist. You see what I'm saying?
Sure. And you made an interesting point earlier that I want to respond to. You said that the right wing co-opted the term woke. And I can agree to that to a certain degree, only if we can both agree that it was the left, specifically the academic left in the 1960s, in the context of Cold War academia, that took what we now refer to as wokeness to its logical end. Wokeness as a form of critical consciousness, as a form of critical pedagogy, wrapped up in 1960s left-wing frameworks from the bloc of communists in America that were anti-Soviet and specifically operating within these halls of power, or halls of power soon to be, right? Those were the people who took wokeness to its logical end. Those were the people that influenced the intellectual environment of the civil rights movement and everything else thereafter. So I think that when the right mistakenly refers to any and everything as woke, it may be overshooting it. But at the same time, I refuse to believe that only the right is responsible for making woke a dirty word, when wokeness is something that was engineered by left-wing and oftentimes Marxist academics in order to further liberate people from the so-called constraints of capitalist and civil society.
Right.
I think that,
So
I think that's just part of honesty.
yeah, what I think what you're reaching for is a critical race theory. And
No, not even critical race theory. Not even critical race theory. That's more of a culture war thing.
Right, but you're talking about critical theory in of itself, like critical theory.
Yeah, sure. Just in general. I mean, like,
Right.
for example.
I mean, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So like, when it comes to like the civil rights movement, right? Yeah, a lot of them were socialists, a lot of them were Marxists, right? Like Bayard Rustin was a Marxist. The Black Panthers were Marxists. MLK was a socialist, right? So yeah, a lot of them were that, and it's kind of obvious why they were, because America mixed racism and capitalism together, and you can argue still to this day that still is a thing, right? So a lot of them are going to be, of course, anti-capitalist, and when you're anti-capitalist, you're going to become a Marxist. So I can see that, but when we say that when it becomes like a dirty word, I don't see how being critical of the society that we're living in, especially when it uses capitalism in order to be racist against marginalized groups or to oppress marginalized groups, and to be critical of that view, or like have a framework that's critical of that, how would that then become a dirty word?
I think woke becoming a dirty word is something that I'm mostly neutral on. However, I do think that woke leftists tend to, when you make a statement as broad as being woke is good, they kind of forget that, okay, well, there's also a woke segment of the right wing. These are groypers. These are the America First types. And I wouldn't see how someone could make objections to the woke right from the standpoint of the woke left in intellectual honesty.
What is
really
the woke? What is the
my bio? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, what's the woke right?
The woke right refers to the contingent of American conservatism that is displeased with establishment conservatism and the drift within the MAGA base towards supporting it. My bio jokingly says woke right because it's kind of like a funny meme on Twitter, but that's generally refers to. I don't know if you've seen like these new conservatives, let's say Thomas Massie, for example, these America First conservatives that cause rifts within the institutional MAGA base who say, no, I'm not going to vote to give money to AIPAC or to Israel, and I'm going to defend Ilhan Omar and, you know, these lefties who are dissidents against Israel and whatnot. So the woke right also has a critical theory and framework for understanding the world, just like the woke left does. Those are the German conservative revolutionists like Carl Schmitt, Ernst Junger, Martin Heidegger, all these different people. So I think that like if you make a statement as broad as being woke is good, but then you oppose the woke right as a woke leftist, I don't think that there's really any ground for you to stand on.
I would need to understand what the woke right actually believes, because again, how woke started off was just understanding systems of oppression, right? If the quote unquote woke right doesn't see systems of oppression, how would that be woke then?
Because when we use the phrase systems of oppression, it's sort of vague and nebulous. Now, because I'm operating in good faith, I know what you mean when you say this. But a woke rightist could just as easily say that the influence of communists in the Civil War period was just as socially denigrative to the American Republic as other issues that we face now. Like, I could give you a list of positions that the woke right believes in, because I get described as a woke rightist all of the time, which I'm fine with because, you know, it's like a funny label and, you know, it's kind of quirky or whatever. But I don't know if that's
the thing is, yeah, I got you. But the thing is, they'll be hard pressed to say that, you know, the communist influence on the civil rights movement was denigrated to America, because the civil rights movement literally bought black people rights. So if they're gonna say that was denigrated to America, they're literally saying that black people having rights was denigrated to America. That wouldn't make much sense.
No, that's not the claim that usually comes with criticisms of the civil rights period of American liberalism. But I don't want to get too lost on that, just because it is a very deep rabbit hole. However, I will say that the infiltration of what's called the New Left into Cold War academia, with its anti-Soviet bent, and specifically prefiguring what we now refer to as neoconservatism with Mr. Kristol or Norman Podhoretz, has been an objectively bad thing for the American Republic. If you don't know, neoconservatism began by Bill Kristol, who was...
Oh, no, I agree. Neoconservatism has been very bad.
Yeah, and neoconservatism directly came out of, ironically, woke academia. They referred to themselves as liberals who are mugged by reality. I know lefties like to say we're not liberal, we're left, we critique capitalism and whatnot. However, Bill Kristol was a Trotskyist communist in America. He was within a lot of these left-wing radical circles, and he ended up switching because the Soviet Union backed Israel's enemies in the 20th century. And he laid the groundwork. He and figures like Norman Podhoretz, they ended up laying the groundwork for, the same class of rhinos that would support the Iraq War and, schmurdering a million children.
Right, exactly.
People in general, children or not, right? But that has its intellectual roots in woke academia, right? No. So I think that That's very clear.
I mean, the thing is, yeah, he came out of academia, right? But just like how you said, he went over to, he shifted to conservatives. He went over to the right. So obviously he didn't stay within the leftist framework. So how would neoconservatism be blamed? How would wokeness be blamed for neoconservatism? That I don't see how that makes sense.
The majority of influential Cold War era politicians who would later come to support the Iraq War specifically had Trotskyist ideological roots. And that to me is rather significant, because you could say, and you can make this point that you just did, that, well, sure, they began as Trotskyists and, left-wing communists, they began as communists and they were a part of these radical left-wing groups, but then they shifted over. But I would disagree with the implication within that statement that therefore there's a rupture between what he was absorbing in the context of critical theory and how his views evolved in the context of what we now call neoconservatism. Because in fact, the neoconservatives, I mean, if you know about the Straussians, right, or even, and this isn't really typical neocon theory nowadays, but even figures like Alexandre Koch figures who were influential within the critical theory environment of left-wing academia of the 20th century. And I think institutions today, I think there's a direct one-to-one correlation. It's not always there,
the
but
reason
it's most certainly present.
The reason why I don't see that is because literally, like one of the most critical versions of imperialism today, a lot of like woke or leftism is very critical of Israel because of that, because of they believe that it's colonialism and imperial, as Zionism is. A lot of us are anti-Zionist because of its colonial roots, right? So if it's if leftism is extremely critical of colonialism and is against certain organizations or governments because of the roots, how would that then mean that the people who support colonialism are rooted in leftism that criticizes colonialism? That connection doesn't make sense to me.
Sure. Critical theory is an open field.
Yeah.
Right. We have
actually we are kind of out of time, Adam. This is fun, but you gotta come back soon because I gotta move on because we're way over time. If that's
sure
right.
thing. How about this? Would you be okay with going another 5 minutes, maybe, or maybe I can just make this last point and then wrap it up?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Like I was saying, critical theory is an open field. We have statesmen who have been influenced by Hegel. We have politicians who have read, figures like Michel Foucault or any of these other critical theorists. And I don't think that it's a controversial take at all to say that the imperialists that we have in office today definitely are not completely unaware of these left-wing authors or critical ideas. I mean, Barack Obama pretended to be a socialist in his college days, and he wrote about that in his book. But a point that I really want to make here specifically is with regards to what you said about Zionism. Now, I do have a Palestinian flag in my bio, and I do support the Palestinians, but I also want to make clear that just because woke academics superficially take issue with Israel and they use phrases like this is colonialism or whatever have you, doesn't make an anti-Zionist. In fact, this form of wokeness, particular to Western civilization, has done a great deal of damage to the Palestinian cause in many cases, specifically because anti-Zionism is greater than critiquing, let's just say the Zionist occupier, because I don't want to get your live in trouble. It's greater than just making criticisms of the Zionist occupier. I mean, is Bernie Sanders an anti-Zionist, even though he literally spouts like Hasbara propaganda about, let's call them the H group, saying that, they were, subtly implying that they were funded by the Zionists and whatnot. I mean, that's a form of Hasbara that is doing, the work of the Zionists for them. And the same thing could be said for the entire critical apparatus of modern woke academia as well. It is insufficiently pro-resistance, and they're self-flagellating about the crimes of colonialism in the context of Palestine, while understandable, is not a threat to the establishment, which is why it's allowed to exist.
Right, I got you. So, like, they don't really go far enough, or they're kind of ivory towerism. They're not really resisting. They're just like in their towers saying that, we're the academics that write all this theory and stuff like that. Yeah, I get ivory towerism, right? I do get that because that is a problem that academia has, where they just sit in their towers and they talk about theory all day, but they're not really about that action. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I do get that, right? So that is an issue that I think I'll agree with you with, and a lot of people who are in the grassroots will also agree with you with, like people who, if you know about organizations like Black Men Build or the DSA and stuff like that, they would all tell you that these ivory tower academics, they just sit around. You know what I mean? They don't really do nothing. And
DSA are part of that problem as well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I do get that there are people who talk a big game but not really part of that action, right? I just can't make the connection between that and being or supporting or doing things that are colonial. Like I just can't make that connection. Yeah, but maybe we can talk about it more. Maybe we can talk about it more because we past 5 minutes.
Yeah, can I recommend you a book as a parting gift?
Sure.
There's a book called The Cultural Cold War by Francis Stoner Saunders. It talks about Cold War academia, the New Left, all these different things. I would suggest that you read it if you're unfamiliar with what I discussed here. It doesn't really talk about the rise of neoconservatism really at all, but that's not a wholly separate topic, but one worth looking into. But if there's one thing I could tell you to humbly advise that you read, it would be that book. I imagine you like it a lot. The author is also fairly left-wing as well. Even though I'm not left-wing and I'm not a leftist, I do rate the book, which I guess if you rate ideology high, it tells you a lot. Yeah, sure. Or maybe a little, who knows? But yeah, thank you.
Not a problem. I appreciate you being up. Have a good night, Adam. All right, guys. Mikhail, you're going to be my last guest because I got to go ahead and I'm off tomorrow, so I just want to go ahead and chill with my wife real quick. All right, Mikhail, you're gonna be my last guest. I did have someone who was up, but that person left. I'm not sure what happened to that person. Chi, come back on Tuesday when I'm live again tomorrow. Hold on, give me 1 second, Mikhail. What's up, baby?
Hey man, how's it going? I'm actually watching Nebraska Cincinnati, waiting for the halftime bet. You into football?
Oh, Nebraska Cincinnati college, right?
Yeah, they're playing. It's like the opening Thursday for this weekend because the majority of college football.
They playing?
Yeah, they're playing right now. Yeah, on ESPN.
College football started.
Yeah, tonight.
No, I haven't been keeping up with football. I haven't been keeping up with sports at all. Like I've missed like most of the NBA. Most of college football I missed. My godson plays for UM. Marcus Allen. He plays for for University of Miami now. But that's the only thing I keep up with, really, because I got to keep up with them.
I'm a Notre Dame grad. So
yeah,
I'm going to that Saturday. That's going to be a big game. It's bringing back the old rivalry. No, only thing, man, I appreciate how nice you are to everybody. My only thing is I just wanted to say is I lived overseas and I've been to 47 countries, and I know America has its issues and stuff for sure. But to me, I do think it's really the greatest country in the world, especially after living overseas. I lived in the Middle East for a year. I did 3 years in Europe. I visited the Chinese Apple factory, and I saw the actual true, I don't even know what the slavery, I don't know. Y'all got to make up words on this stuff.
No, yeah.
So nobody gets, but I saw it like, and it was for real. Like, and man, I tell you, that factory over there was like going to a modern, beautiful campus, like college campus. It had a gateway. It had armed guards. It had a beautiful gate with fountains and trees and flowers. And it was, and then, you pull up to it and then you see like the dorm area and you're like, hey, what's that? Is that like the dorms? They're like, yes, that's where the families live. And there's curfews and it's, it's pretty sad deal. And then when I was in Europe, I saw that 80% of the people don't own their own stuff. that 600-year-old families, the aristocrats, is real. I saw that the National Health Service in the UK imported all of these doctors from India for the peasant class, and that the aristocrats and the rich people had private insurance just like in the United States. And I was like, And so and then, I saw that there really is ceilings there because there's bloodlines and nobility, all that bullcrap is still real. And even in France, there's ancient families that own a ton of everything. And I feel like in the United States, this really is the place that if you work your butt off, no matter your race, you can really achieve something here greater than what you can achieve in other countries. Not to say that we can't make our country a better place. And there's always places and ways to improve. But that was really what I wanted to say to you. And I was just curious, have you traveled much outside? And if you haven't, I'm not saying that demeaningly, but you got to go see that it's a lot of a myth of, everybody saying so-and-so is better than America. Because, man, I ain't seen nowhere that's better than here for everybody collectively.
I've been to Bahamas. I've been to Haiti. I've been to Mexico, Korea, and Canada.
Okay.
Yeah. So
well, when not bad.
Yeah, when it comes to our one example is our health system, right? Now the NHS does have problems. I'm not gonna say the NHS doesn't have problems, right? One of the issues with the NHS is that a lot of its segments they started privatizing, which is when a lot of issues started happening. When you have a public service, start privatizing it is a bad idea. That's always a bad idea. It's something that happened to the train stations. That's which is why UK trains are all out of whack now, because they started privatizing a lot of it. But one thing that I would say when it comes to the healthcare system, right? We see other countries that have a universal healthcare system, and they spend less than us, and their people have better outcomes, more access, and they're healthier, right? What's the difference between them and us? Because I don't think that America is uniquely lazier or less efficient than anybody else. But all these other countries, these first world countries, can have a universal system, but for some reason, folks say that America can't do that. And I'm wondering why that is.
I think it's all about taxes, man. It's, when I was in Luxembourg, I paid almost 60% of my salary, and Amazon had to triple my salary so that I could make what I made in the United States when I was an expat over there. And the federal government of the United States taxed me 15% on my European money, which is a whole nother insanity. And so really, I think it just comes down to taxes. And I think there's an underbelly of individualism that the United States is about. Like, all of America really hasn't adapted, for example, public transportation, because we'd all rather, if you live outside of a city, most people would rather drive themselves, like be in their own car and not, share. And so because they would rather be individualistic, they don't want to volunteer to pay more taxes for something they're not going to utilize.
So Americans are just uniquely selfish?
I think, well, I don't know if it'd be selfish. I just think it's like an individualistic sort of just undertone into our culture, right?
Okay.
Like, I can do it.
Right.
We collectively each other in war.
Yeah. So
but we're
okay.
not really
All right. So let me understand this. You're back in the States now, correct?
Yeah, I'm in North Carolina.
You have insurance?
Yes.
Okay. You realize that the way insurance works is essentially the way that socialism will work in itself, right?
Yeah, I understand that. They basically, you pay into a group, because I'm actually an entrepreneur now, and so I had to go out in the free market and pay for it, and you give it as a benefit, and it's a necessary evil, especially when you got kids and you got a family.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I'm also
so
I do have my own.
I got you. So when folks when it's brought up to the point where we would rather pay for things ourselves to benefit from them for ourselves, and then I ask, do you have insurance? The way that insurance works is literally you're paying for everybody else. You see what I'm saying? Like your premium is not going into a little piggy bank. It goes into a risk pool, and out of that pool is where all the claims are paid out of. So when people say they don't want to pay for somebody else, you're literally already doing that through insurance. So I'll always just find it strange where if you don't want to pay for anybody else, why not just not have insurance? You see what I'm saying? And we know the reason why we rather not have insurance, because it's better to be part of a group for your cost to be lower, right? So I've always said this, like, I understand the issue with taxes, right? But if we were to have higher taxes, but everyone is able to get a healthcare, everyone is every new parent is able to put their child in a daycare that they don't necessarily have to pay for because it's universal. We get, paternity and maternity leave. We have, a rail station that goes everywhere. So if you live in Nebraska, you can work in Kansas and go back to Nebraska to live if you want to. If we had all that, but we had high taxes, would you really mind the high taxes?
No, I don't think I would. I think the thing that we're all, scared of when it comes to taxes is how, in some ways, the government's so inefficient, and then you're given a bureaucracy the ability to make decisions, and I don't know, man. Like that's
a legit concern.
More money.
Yeah, I got you. That's a legit concern, right? But what we've seen, especially in the past, 8-9 months now, is that when you cut, government, like not just services but employees, that's how you actually get more inefficiencies, because these people actually know what they're doing. So if you cut them out, you're gonna get a lot of inefficiencies within the system, because now you have people who are supposed to be in certain positions who are not there. Who are not there anymore. You see what I'm saying? So it's not usually about, how much people are in the system. I do understand that bureaucracy can become cumbersome and there are redundancies in the system, right, that we can get rid of and we can make it much more efficient. All that is true. Like, no one is saying that's not true, right? There's a point where it gets too big and too redundant. You got to cut it out. But if we're able to have one public system, then we can cut out a lot of those redundancies, right? Instead of going through all these middlemen.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this: my buddy's wife's an interventional radiologist, and she worked over in Italy for a while so that she could be on, air quotes, day shift to do night shift America radiology. And her biggest complaint was that doctors don't have the pedigree in Europe, and that's true. Like in America, you're rich or you've made it if you become a doctor. Whereas in Europe, they cap them at 150,000 pounds a year. There is no millionaire doctors. There is no, there's no, I don't know. Like, I guess you got to think about it this way. The one thing that capitalism kind of does help with when it comes to medicine is I want my brain surgeon to be a rich bastard. You know what I mean? I want them to be the best, and I want them to, I want to go pick the best. And they've socialized medicine in such a way over there that now all of the brilliant minds who also want to be financially successful start drifting toward banking and business. Like they don't even do medicine anymore.
Would you rather have a doctor who makes $100,000 a year but actually cares about you, or a doctor that makes $500,000 a year and you're just a number?
Well, I think that, to be, that's like, I mean, honestly, dude, I would just want the best. So to give you an example.
No, I agree with you. I just want the best doctors, right? I don't care if he makes $5 an hour or he makes $700,000 an hour. I want him to be the best doctor. What I usually say is that just because they're making $700 an hour does not necessarily make them the best, right? I want my doctor to care more about me as a person than how much is going to fill their pocketbook. They should be compensated. I'm not saying that a person should go to school for years, get $200,000 in debt, and be paid $20 an hour. That'll be fucked up, right? I don't want that to happen to them. I want them to have the best possible way to live their lives, right? And have good pay. Right. But I don't care much about, filling up their profit portfolio. I care about them. Do they actually care about the people? Do they actually care about medicine? Are they going to, take a look at me and said, oh, he doesn't deserve this pain medication because, his race makes him stronger, or, oh, she's a woman and she's just being over dramatic, or he's a white guy. I just don't want to give him his medication. I don't want that in our system. You see what I'm saying? So like that's what I mean.
I just mean, like, I think the capital.
Did I lose him? I think I lost him, or he got a call. We'll wait for him to come back. Guys. All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here soon. I'm just gonna wait for Mikhail to come back, and then once he's back, I'm gonna go ahead and get off. But I do appreciate everybody being here. I do appreciate everybody who watched me over on the YouTube side. I know things were kind of laggy. But again, I'm trying, y'all. I really am trying. I really am. Ooh, I lost him. I lost Mikhail. That sucks. I lost Mikhail. All right, but I appreciate you for being here, Mikhail. Baby, I'm coming soon, okay? I'm about to be done. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and hang out with my wife. I do appreciate y'all. You guys are amazing. Everyone who is over on my YouTube, you guys are great. I appreciate y'all watching over there on my YouTube. I do know it's kind of laggy. I'm gonna get the internet right. All right, I'm gonna get the internet right. Don't worry about that. I do appreciate y'all. You guys are amazing. You guys are great. Damn, Deep Alpha, you just got here, bro. Deep Alpha just got here, y'all. But yeah, you caught me when I'm leaving, man. You caught me when I'm leaving. All right, I'm gonna come up with a schedule. So yeah, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I'm gonna be doing this. Tuesdays is the testimonials for Black atheist agnostics to get interviewed. Wednesdays and Thursdays are gonna be my debate nights. I'm gonna be running this topic a lot. You're gonna be seeing this topic a lot. All right, yeah, I might see some switch ups, but come back on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays where I'll be doing this, running this topic. I appreciate you all. You all have a good night. I'm gonna be spending my weekend in Miami because it is my birthday. Yeah, wish me good luck because my wife has a lot of things planned for me. But I appreciate y'all and I love y'all. Have a good night. Peace out.